Welcome back. Well, it's time for a Matter of Finance, and this morning I welcome Brian Hamel, managing partner of Thompson-Hamel LLC, and he will be discussing the issues associated with long-term health issues and how to best deal with them from a financial perspective. So good morning.
Good morning.
Made it here this early. So we've talked in the past about the importance of saving for retirement, having periodic financial checkups, and protecting your family through life insurance, but we haven't talked about how a long-term health event could impact your finances. So can you kind of talk about those implications?
Sure. There are lots of issues that can derail your financial plan, but there's none that are more devastating than a health event that could cause you to be in a long-term nursing home facility or at home. And a lot of people equate that to dementia, Alzheimer's disease, old age kinds of events. But there are many other events that can happen. It could be an accident, it could be a disease. So those things can have a devastating impact on your nest egg with the rising costs of health care, with the nursing home coverage costs going up, people living longer. An event like that, if you're in it for a long term, can have a devastating impact on your nest egg.
All right, so how do you protect yourself from a financial perspective to minimize the financial impact of a long-term care situation?
Well, it's a complicated subject. There are state and federal regulations involved, and we could probably have a whole show about this, but you know, in general, the federal and state governments are making it more and more difficult to shelter your assets to become eligible for government aid if that situation arose. So there are a lot of people, I've had a lot of people come to me and say they'll do a lot of different things, and they'll say, well, it's not going to happen to me, so I'm not going to plan for it. And that's not really a good planning choice. The other, people will say, well, I have children, they'll take care of me. And that's, some families can do that, but there is a point when you have some health care issues where your family can't. It's an emotional and financial drain on your family, and that's difficult. Others have said, I'll plan on saving that, the cost of that on my own, but with the rising costs of nursing home coverage at close to $100,000 a year, that can really, bite into your nest egg. Or you can buy, pass on that liability to an insurance company. You could buy a long-term care insurance policy or a life insurance policy that has a long-term care rider associated with it. Those last two are the ones I think that are most important. I've had personal circumstances where my parents were in nursing homes for a lengthy amount of time before they passed away, and I saw what happened to their nest egg when that happened. My wife and I purchased long-term care insurance to protect us from doing, the same thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. So should everyone buy insurance to essentially protect their retirement savings? And when exactly is the right time to do that?
Well, it's a personal circumstance. The first thing that you really need to do is sit down with a financial advisor to determine, what kind of a nest egg do you have and what can it grow to in the future, and try to minimize the risk of that nest egg being depleted. So that's the important part, is to sit down with a financial planner to discuss that. Then you can determine whether it's appropriate to buy a long-term health care insurance policy, to buy a life insurance policy that have these advanced riders on it where you can access it for long-term care. Or you can meet with your attorney. I've had clients that have started to shelter assets so that they can be eligible for a long-term care event with governmental assistance.
All right, so it seems a little, probably a little complicated. It seems complicated to me because I've never had to deal with anything. So, definitely a little difficult for how long-term health issues could be.
Yeah, it's a complicated and difficult a process to go through. A lot of people don't want to think about what could happen if you're in a long-term care situation. I've had clients of all ages have family members and even themselves in a situation where they've needed long-term care, and some of them have planned for it and some of them have not. And the ones that don't plan for it are the ones that can have a negative impact, not only on their own family, but their extended family. And really the time to talk about it is now. Even though you'd rather kick that can down the road, you really need to start addressing the issue now.
Yeah, because you never know when something's gonna happen or you're gonna need it.
Right, that's great.
All right, so if people want to get in contact with you and learn more about this, how can they do that?
Well, just feel free to call my office. Our numbers on our website. We have a website and a Facebook page, and so please, if people have an interest in learning more about how you can protect yourself from that long-term care event, just please call our office and ask for me, and we'll set up an appointment.
All right, well, thank you so much, Brian. Matter of Finance will be back in another 2 weeks. Stay tuned.